Did you know that China's President Xi Jinping has a net worth of over $1 billion, yet he still chooses to live a modest lifestyle? But surprisingly, his frugal lifestyle is a far cry from the lavish spending of his predecessors. So what drives the most powerful man in China to live like he's broke?
That the Chinese people watch every step of their leader and they follow what he says to do.
From humble beginnings to anti-corruption crusades, we'll uncover the secrets behind his unassuming approach to power. Xi Jinping's humble beginnings. Before he became one of the most powerful figures in the world, Xi Jinping went from humble beginnings in a modest, low-income Chinese household to living in a cave before he was even an adult. These experiences have greatly shaped the person and leader he has turned out to be, and it's no surprise he is so beloved by the Chinese people. Let's take a look at Xi Jinping's early childhood. Imagine growing up in the heart of Beijing, the son of a powerful revolutionary leader, only to see your world turn upside down at the age of 10. That's how life unfolded for Xi Jinping. The Chinese leader was born on June 15, 1953, to Xi Zhongxun, a great man of influence who rose through the ranks to become vice premier and a key figure in the Chinese Communist Party. But then, the political winds shifted, and that's when the Xi family began facing hard times.
Basically, he was on his own. I think his father was put under house arrest a few years before, and so he was really kind of left as almost like a political orphan.
Xi Jinping was the third child in his family, with two older sisters, Cao Cao and Anan. Their life seemed secure in Beijing, but beneath the surface, China was changing, and so too was the fate of the Xi family. In 1963, when Xi was only 10 years old, everything began to crumble. His once revered political leader father was suddenly purged from the Chinese Communist Party and was sent to work in a remote factory. The Chinese Cultural Revolution swept through China and toppled high-ranking intellectuals, officials, and anyone who didn't align with the Communist Party's hardline ideologies. For Xi, the revolution cut short his education, as students were encouraged not to learn, but to revolt. The Xi family home was ransacked, and his sister, Xi Heping, was killed. But this was just the beginning. Soon after, Xi's father was branded as an enemy of the revolution, and then publicly denounced, imprisoned, and humiliated. His mother, under immense pressure, was forced to denounce her husband. The once prominent family was now living a nightmare. At just 15 years old, Xi had to make a huge decision that would change his life forever. Would he stay in Beijing, or would he follow the party's call to go down to the countryside? On a cold January day in 1969, took a journey that has been very crucial in keeping him modest and frugal, even after becoming a wealthy and powerful politician. That year, Xi left behind the city lights of Beijing and found himself in the harsh, rugged village of Liangjiahe in Shanxi province. Life there was brutal. The village was backward, poverty-stricken, and far removed from the life he knew. Xi was just a teenager, but he had to grapple with the challenges of rural life, fighting fleas, enduring labor, and surviving with little food. Could someone raised in Beijing adapt to this harsh new reality? Teenage years and political enlightenment. It's almost unbelievable to imagine that the president of all of China spent his teenage years living in a cave in a backwater village. Now, it is being transformed into a theme park-style tourist attraction, as the Chinese leader's past is used to legitimize Communist Party rule.
Where President Xi spent a lot of his teenage years in his early 20s, really, it kind of shaped him as a leader, and it really drove him to fight things like poverty in China, and also gave him that very common touch.
The villagers of Liangjiahe often find themselves telling stories to visitors and tourists about the time a tall, pale teenager worked with them in the fields and slept on a straw mat in a flea-infested cave in their village, and his remarkable journey from that to becoming the president of China. Xi Jinping has shared that his political awakening took place during his time in this remote village, where he was sent as part of Mao Zedong's campaign aimed at immersing educated urban youth in peasant life. In a television interview from 2004, He reflected on how many of his ideas and characteristics were shaped during those crucial years in Liangjiahe. This was where he learned how to be selfless and fight for the greater good of his people and country. That's where he learned how to give up luxury and live a more modest lifestyle. But it wasn't always that way for the teenage Xi. The adjustment was far from easy. After just a few months, the misery of life in the impoverished village of a few dozen houses was too much for the 15-year-old Xi. Longing for his home comforts, he escaped. On his return to Beijing, his mother informed the authorities, and he was caught, arrested during a crackdown, and sent to dig ditches in a work camp as part of a 6-month re-education program. Eventually, he returned to Liangjiahe, but only after being persuaded by his relatives. Despite the struggles, this experience in the countryside would become a defining chapter of Xi's life. Today, the residents of Liangjiahe fondly remember the young Xi Jinping, who worked alongside them during his formative years. They recall him pushing carts of sand, tending crops, and helping construct a dam, all while facing the hardships of rural life. Shi Yuxin, a local villager who joined the Communist Party with Xi in 1974, reminisces, "Back then, life there was very tough. Nobody had enough food and he suffered a lot. He did everything to benefit us. Everything he did was for us villagers." He recalls the emotional moment when Xi left, describing how the young leader cried as he departed. Xi himself reflects on that fateful day in 1975, noting that he awoke to find villagers waiting outside his cave, not wanting to disturb him. He remembered feeling a deep sense of sorrow, admitting, "I cried at that time. It was the second time I cried in 7 years." In recent years, Xi's connection to Liangjiahe has sparked a mini-boom in the local economy. Villagers now offer tourist buggies, sell Xi-themed souvenirs, and serve a president's set meal to the thousands of tourists who flock to the village each day. Additionally, a 45-part drama based on the region is in the works, though it's uncertain whether it will depict Xi's life specifically. During a recent holiday, Liangjiahe attracted over 30,000 visitors, each paying a nominal fee to see the caves where Xi once lived. These caves have been preserved as part of a tourist attraction, featuring items like oil lamps and agricultural tools, which reflect the conditions he faced during his youth. In time, Xi Jinping gained the trust of the villagers in Liangjiahe, where he served as the community's secretary, but still lived in a cave house, much like many residents of the area. For 7 years, he immersed himself in the rural lifestyle, learning about the land and connecting with the rural poor in a way few leaders had before him. This period was crucial in shaping his leadership skills. By 1973, Xi's dedication did not go unnoticed, and he was tasked with leading social education initiatives in neighboring villages. Despite his budding reputation, he faced the challenges of his father's political legacy, which loomed large. Xi's applications to join the Chinese Communist Party were repeatedly rejected about 10 times in total before he was finally accepted in 1974, a testament to his persistence. Once in the party, Xi quickly set to work to make a difference. He introduced biogas technology to address local fuel shortages, drilled wells, and established cooperatives to enhance the local economy. The villagers, who had initially seen him as an outsider, began to recognize him as one of their own. However, this was just the beginning of his journey. In 1975, Xi received a significant opportunity when he was recommended to attend Tsinghua University, one of China's most prestigious educational institutions. He pursued a degree in chemical engineering, combining academic learning with the practical lessons he had absorbed from his rural experiences, preparing him for leadership in a rapidly modernizing China. Xi Jinping's rise from a humble cave-dwelling background to the pinnacle of power reflects a story of transformation, resilience, and survival. His early years laid a foundation for his leadership style and political philosophy, emphasizing the importance of connecting with the populace and addressing their needs. A new memorial hall has been established in Xi Jinping's ancestral home, dedicated to his father, Xi Zhongxun. This initiative is part of a broader effort by the ruling Communist Party to portray Xi as an ordinary guy, especially in a climate where many citizens are frustrated with the privileges enjoyed by their leaders. Xi Jinping, the son of a revolutionary hero, is often viewed as a princeling, a term used to describe the offspring of senior Communist Party officials. Despite this background, the narrative of his early life in Liangjiahe, which was marked by hardship, was the foundation for his image as someone who understands the struggles of ordinary people. This chapter of Xi's life was significant, offering him valuable lessons in hardship and resilience, which would later inform his political ideology. His experiences there are often cited as foundational to his leadership style and vision for China. Early political career. In September 1988, Xi Jinping found himself appointed as the secretary of Ningde, a remote and underdeveloped region. At the time, Ningde's economy was in bad shape, far worse than the more prosperous cities of Fuzhou and Xiamen. The task ahead of him seemed daunting. So what did Xi do? Instead of being discouraged, he began meticulously organizing his thoughts and experiences, eventually compiling them into a book titled Getting Out of Poverty. This book wasn't just theory. It was born out of Xi's hands-on work in tackling poverty and strengthening the local Communist Party in Ningde. But that was just the beginning. In May 1990, the Chinese Communist Party, Fujian Provincial Committee, had bigger plans for him. Xi was reassigned to Fuzhou, a major city, as the municipal committee secretary. His rise was starting to gain momentum. By 1997, Xi had been named an alternate member of the 15th CCP Central Committee.
By the Communist Party of China revealed highlights of the four-day gathering. President Xi Jinping, also General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, delivered the party's work on behalf of the committee's political bureau.
But soon after, an even greater opportunity came knocking. In 1999, he was promoted to the role of vice governor of Fujian, and just 1 year later, he took the top job as governor. During his time in Fujian, Xi's approach was strategic. He reached out to Taiwan, hoping to attract investment, and pushed for the private sector to thrive. His vision for economic growth was bold, but how far would it take him? The answer came in 2002 when Xi left Fujian for the neighboring province of Zhejiang. This was a major step forward. He was quickly placed in key political roles and eventually rose to the top spot as Zhejiang's party committee secretary, marking his first time holding such a powerful provincial position. Under his leadership, Zhejiang's economy surged, reporting an astonishing 14% growth per year. But Xi wasn't just focused on economic success, he was also gaining a reputation as a no-nonsense anti-corruption crusader. His tough stance against corrupt officials made waves throughout China, catching the attention of the nation's top leadership. From 2004 to 2007, Xi's closest advisor during this time was Li Chang, who acted as his chief of staff, solidifying a strong political bond between the two. But his story didn't stop there. In September 2006, the political landscape shifted once again. The party secretary of Shanghai, Chen Liangyu, was removed from office following a massive corruption scandal involving a social security fund. It was a scandal that rocked the nation, and someone needed to step in and restore order. Enter Xi Jinping. By March 2007, he had been transferred to Shanghai and became the new party secretary. His time in Shanghai was short, only 7 months long, but it was a very crucial 7 months. Xi's strategy in Shanghai was simple: keep a low profile, stay out of controversy, and maintain strict party discipline. He even turned down a special train that Shanghai officials had arranged to shuttle him between Shanghai and Hangzhou, reminding everyone that such privileges were reserved only for national leaders. His dedication to the rules earned him respect, and his approach to party unity was clear. There would be no purges under his watch, despite the scandal that had taken down his predecessor. Xi knew exactly how to toe the party line while keeping his eyes on the bigger picture. So, what did all of this mean for Xi Jinping's future? It was becoming increasingly clear that his disciplined, pragmatic, and corruption-fighting image was gaining him the trust of China's highest leaders. What would come next for the man who quietly but steadily climbed the political ladder? Anti-corruption campaign. Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign, initiated shortly after he became General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party in 2012, has had a profound impact on Chinese politics.
Xi Jinping has secured a historic third term as a General Secretary of the party.
Aimed at addressing corruption across all government levels, the campaign targeted both low-ranking officials, referred to as flies, and high-ranking elites, known as tigers.
China's leader Xi Jinping launched an aggressive anti-graft campaign, vowing to crack down on what he called tigers and flies, everyone.
This marked a significant shift toward enhanced party discipline and accountability. The campaign's most notable aspects was its stringent measures against luxury and extravagance among officials. Xi implemented strict rules to curb lavish spending and ostentatious displays of wealth, reinforcing a message of humility and frugality within the party. The introduction of the 8-point regulation in 2012 set a clear framework, banning luxury travel, minimizing red carpet treatment, and reducing extravagant ceremonies. The campaign led to the investigation and punishment of tens of thousands of officials, ranging from local bureaucrats to prominent leaders like Zhou Yongkang, a former member of the Politburo Standing Committee.
Zhou Yongkang, he is suspected of serious disciplinary violation. He's the most senior official to be put into investigation.
Many high-profile cases resulted in prison sentences.
Former security chief Zhou Yongkang has been sentenced to life in prison in a secret trial.
And some officials even faced death sentences for severe corruption offenses. Jinping's anti-corruption drive has significantly transformed the political landscape in China. The pervasive fear of investigations has fostered a culture of caution among officials, leading to the purging or sidelining of numerous political elites. While the campaign has garnered praise for restoring public confidence in the government and reducing wasteful spending, this economic vision for China emphasizes sustainable and high-quality growth rather than unchecked expansion and misuse of state resources by people in power. His administration is focused on transitioning from a low-cost, export-driven economy to one that prioritizes domestic consumption, technological innovation, and environmental sustainability, fostering innovation and mitigating environmental impact. Xi's lifestyle is often showcased as an embodiment of modesty and discipline. State media frequently highlight his frugal habits and rejection of excessive luxury, portraying him as a leader dedicated to China's future rather than personal gain. His adherence to the principles of the anti-corruption campaign, including curbing extravagant behavior, reflects his expectation that the same commitment is upheld by party members, and he leads by example. Let's take a look at what the people think of his frugal and modest character, Xi Jinping's famous modesty. Xi Jinping has often been described as a modest leader in terms of his public persona and work ethic. Those who have interacted with him emphasize his down-to-earth demeanor and pragmatism. For instance, Peng Liyuan, his wife, once remarked that at home, Xi does not present himself as a leader, but as a regular husband, highlighting his humility. This modesty extends to his professional life, as exemplified by his refusal to accept certain privileges, such as when he declined a special train while serving as party secretary in Shanghai, insisting on adhering to party rules. Xi Jinping's frugality extends to the simplicity in his official residence as Chinese president. Zhongnanhai, located adjacent to the Forbidden City in Beijing, serves as the political nerve center for China's top leadership, including Xi Jinping. Despite its lack of ostentatious modern luxury, the political and symbolic weight attached to the location is a result of giving up modern luxury for tradition and honoring Chinese culture and history. Its secure and closed-off nature underlines the importance of the people who live and work there, shaping China's governance from behind its walls. Humility in Chinese culture. Xi Jinping's humility is at the very core a result of a long-standing culture of the Chinese, interwoven into the fabric of their society and religious practices like Confucianism and Taoism. The three treasures or three jewels of Taoism are central virtues outlined in the Tao Te Ching, one of the foundational texts of Taoist philosophy. These virtues, which emphasize compassion, simplicity, and humility, reflect the key principles for living in harmony with the Tao, or the Way, the guiding force in Taoism. Although the term three treasures was later used in other contexts, such as Chinese Buddhism and traditional Chinese medicine, in the Taoist tradition, it represents a fundamental approach to life. The first of these treasures is compassion. Compassion is presented as a central virtue in Taoism because it is believed to be the source of true bravery. In chapter 67 of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu speaks of compassion as the foundation for courage, suggesting that one who shows compassion has the inner strength to face the world with kindness and empathy. This concept parallels ideas in other Chinese philosophies, such as Confucianism, where humaneness is emphasized as a central ethical principle. Compassion, in this Taoist sense, is not only a personal virtue, but also a means of interacting with others in a way that fosters mutual understanding and peace. The second treasure is frugality, which signifies simplicity, moderation, and a rejection of excess. Taoism teaches that living in alignment with the Tao involves following the natural order, which inherently promotes a simple and modest lifestyle. By embracing frugality, one avoids wastefulness and preserves resources, much like nature does. The third treasure is humility, expressed as not daring to be first in the world. This idea reflects the Taoist principle of avoiding the limelight and resisting the urge to assert dominance over others. Lao Tzu warns against the dangers of pride and arrogance, emphasizing that those who lead by example do so not by placing themselves above others, but by stepping back and allowing others to flourish. In this way, humility is seen as a protective force, safeguarding the individual from unnecessary conflict and enabling them to live in accordance with the Tao. Together, these three treasures form the practical moral guidelines of Taoism. Compassion fosters connection and kindness, frugality ensures sustainability, and humility allows one to live without ego or the desire for power. In this way, the three treasures offer a roadmap for individuals seeking to live a life of balance, wisdom, and harmony with the natural world.